Wow, absolutely mind-blowing. How many songs are from Sweden? Hey son, and welcome to the next video. We started with the first part of geography now, and today we are going on with the second part. If you haven't watched it, there it is. And yeah, let's go into the video.
Well, that was a discussion. Any case, let's break down the population of Sweden. Sweden has a population of about 10.25 million and has one of the oldest populations in the world at about
Oh,
41 years of age on average. About
I
75%
think
of the country
I think Germany is higher.
to be ethnically Swedish, and this is where things get a little complicated. For the remaining 25%, the Swedish government doesn't have any official statistical data on foreign background, but what we do
Oh,
know is that of these people, about 2 million of them were born abroad, and about 600,000 were born in Sweden as second generation with foreign parents. We also know that
why don't you have statistics? I mean, Germany is very bad in digitalization and everything, but we have like statistics about everything.
of 2020, due to the refugee crisis, the largest immigrant communities had origins mostly from Syria and Iraq, which surpassed Finland and Poland in the 21st century for the largest foreign-born communities. Yeah, we'll talk about the refugee thing later. But in the meantime,
Sweden uses the Swedish krona as its
That's cool. So colorful. I like that really. I mean, I also like really the euro, and I don't like, for example, the dollar, but this is also very cool. Is this Astrid Lindgren? Probably not.
currency.
And we use the type C and F plug outlets, and we drive on the right side of the road. But we used to drive on the left side until September 3rd, 1967.
When the högertrafiks
Do you have to change something on the streets then? Had you changed something or only the signs?
omläggningen was instituted.
and it was a crazy time. People were all confused and jamming into each other. In Sweden, the official language is, shocker, Swedish.
But the funny thing is, even though Swedish originated and has pretty much always been spoken natively in Sweden, Swedish actually only became official in the country in 2009.
What?
Yeah, they kept kind of arguing about it. It was like,
No, it might be seen as more difficult for international issues. It might be seen as discriminatory, maybe, for those who don't speak Swedish. God!
So let's break this down. The country is called Sweden.
Yeah.
What the do you think people should speak in Sweden?
Yeah.
Swedish became the official language of Sweden.
we've explained this
I
before,
mean-
but the
Of course, Austria doesn't speak Austrian but German, but everybody that has to go there should learn Swedish, or everybody, or even English. I mean, you are so great at English, so this is just a formality, and I would say, hey, put it onto Swedish.
Scandinavian countries can all more or less understand each other. If you learn one, you can pretty much kind of communicate with the others.
That's
Just,
cool.
You know, when they hear Danish, it's like,
Oh, hey, Denmark. Interesting.
And the interesting thing is that the Swedish
I love that he has a potato, because potato is like the German sign, so that the Danes are more to Germany.
language has pitches.
here's Geography Marcus to explain a little bit more.
One quick thing, please hit a like and subscribe. It helps this channel so much to grow. Thank you.
So yeah, Swedish is a very hard language to learn. We also have pitch dialect. Some words look and are pronounced exactly the same, but have different meanings. So the word plan, it can mean a plan,
Yeah.
like having a great plan. It can also mean pitch, like a football pitch.
Ah.
Football's plan. Banan, which means banana, but if you pronounce it banan, it means the track.
Thank you, Marcus.
In any case, on top of that, there are also 5 protected languages in Sweden. Finnish, Menkal, Sami, Romani, and Yiddish.
Also, Sweden has a lot of regional accents.
If she spoke her native language right now, or
You don't even say dialect, you say language.
native dialect, I wouldn't understand a word.
Say the most difficult southern Swedish thing you can say.
Okay, this is not my accent, okay? Disclaimer. Det är nämnt men tradigt att köra rulleball.
It is easy but difficult to drive a roller coaster,
Wheelbarrow, but that was really good.
right?
Yeah.
All right, all right,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
Okay, some people said in the comments, yeah, you probably don't understand Swedish. Here, I didn't understand one word. And I'm very proud when I understand Reichstag or something like that, but here, nothing.
Wheelbarrow was roller coaster. Whoa! In any case, Christianity was introduced in the 9th century. Today, most Swedes, regardless of their level of religious devotion or lack thereof, are at least registered with the Swedish Lutheran Church.
And like the Danes and Norwegians, they have their
Yes, you fought in the Protestant wars, right? Protestant versus Catholics in Germany in the 30-year war. I think you
confirmation
fought there.
ceremonies at age 14 14 or 15.
In old times, ancient Swedes and the Norse people followed the Asatru religion, where Thor, Odin, Loki, all of them were from.
Otherwise, Sweden is a constitutional monarchy, although they are mostly seen as just figurehead celebrities with almost no actual legislative power.
And today, the royal family is actually French descended.
For what it's worth, being the largest of the
Because of Napoleon, right? I noticed from Oversimplified, he puts like a general of him there and probably he's stage king, right?
Scandinavian countries, Sweden has a lot on its plate.
In general, most people would say that the system works. Yes, we do have one of the highest life expectancies in the world,
Not bad.
at over 82 years.
People
Higher
get
than
paid to go
German.
to schools they are accepted in.
Healthcare is free for people under 18. Dental is free for anyone under 23.
Otherwise, there are price caps for medical and pharmaceutical services, and they are usually cheap.
However, for the population, there is a bit of a
How is it like? Do you have insurance that you are like until you finish studying with that you are insured with your parents for healthcare? Because that's like in Germany. I'm still, because I'm not 26 now and I'm studying, I'm insured in my mother's treaty or contract.
medical facilities, and like most state-subsidized healthcare systems, wait times can be an issue sometimes, and they follow the 0-30-90-90 rule. This rule states that a person cannot wait more than 90 days to see a specialist and 90 days after diagnosis to receive surgery unless it is deemed an emergency. This means that the worst case scenario, potentially, it could take almost half a year to get treated.
This is one reason why 1 out of 10 Swedes
Yeah.
actually prefer private insurance, which was, made available in 2010 rather than relying on universal healthcare system.
Otherwise, we aren't going to fully sugarcoat this episode. Everyone knows that Sweden has seen quite a few drastic changes in the past decade or so. During the 2014-15 refugee crisis, Sweden saw a wave of asylum seekers, mostly from Syria and Iraq.
Obviously, this unexpected influx in such a short time, barely allowing the new immigrants time to integrate, kind of played out in many ways that made international news.
Now, this is where the narrative kind of steps on thin ice, because you want to be seen as compassionate, but you also can't avoid the fact that statistically, problems that quiet Sweden had never really seen before obviously kind of started to arise. We've seen the news features, riots, multiple cities, crime rising, but at the same time, you also want to be seen as compassionate, but without sidestepping the issues. So the question was, how?
Well, it's not an easy question to answer.
So I don't know, what do you guys think of that whole situation of the drama?
You can see it as either win-win or lose-lose in many ways, because
Yeah.
if you're completely against taking in immigrants, you're basically considered a racist, and
That's exactly the same thing we have in Germany. Now, of course, many people say, hey, you aren't safe anymore going out on the streets and stuff like this. And I have to say, yeah, at least I don't have statistics. It feels like it is increasing a bit. But I also don't want that everybody says, yeah, all of those should go home. It's weird. Of course, I would like if the streets are more safe. But it's so weird. You don't want to be somebody that says, oh, everybody should go home. So it's a thin line where you have to step onto, right?
if you're trying to turn a blind eye to the fact that, crime has risen a
Yeah.
lot the last years, then that's not great either. So I think this is a fairly new problem, and it takes some time to really figure it out.
It's difficult.
And kind of a discussion of how to help people, integrate into the society in general.
Swedish
And-
society.
I think integration is keyword.
Half the people are gonna argue for all the benefits of opening our country up and helping people, and those are huge as well.
Yeah. See, this is kind of part of the complication of Sweden. There's always like a dichotomy of ethics and consequences within their story. For example, they've been neutral, or at least on paper, for 200 years, yet that neutrality has always kind of been tested throughout the time.
In World War I, our choice not to intervene pretty much costed us the chance to integrate the Åland Islands.
And in World War II, Sweden took almost all of Denmark's Jewish refugees. However, they did trade with Nazi Germany and let them use the railroad.
But it's like, what other choice did they have when they just witnessed and saw Denmark getting demolished and attacked and occupied in 6 hours?
We have
Like,
discussed this further in another video, which you can see probably here.
stay neutral yet technically cooperate, or fight back with no chance and lose everything. So many heavy choices with no simple answers. Well, that was fantastic and uplifting.
In any case, we must move on. One thing Sweden definitely does actually feel uplifted by would be their heavy involvement in sports.
And with that, Art usually fills in for the sports part, but again, he's still on vacation with his family, so I don't know. Noah, why don't you fill in? All right, Noah, you got to
okay,
be Art this
okay.
time. He's gone, so you know.
No, you missed the do, and you go to.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Sorry, but sports in Sweden. Fun fact, they actually won a half medal at the 1900 Olympics, technically.
Ah,
They teamed up with Denmark in the tug-of-war event. Yes, there actually
Hmm.
used to be a tug-of-war event in the Olympics, which does sound pretty cool. Why would
Yeah.
you get rid of that? I go to the Olympics to do tug-of-war. That'd be pretty awesome.
You could just be your own team, Noah.
There are two sports that kind of originated in Sweden, brandball and floorball.
That looks like a little bit of hockey.
kind of like baseball, and floorball is basically like hockey with
Yeah.
a ball on the floor. If you think
When
about
we play tennis in Germany, we always play with those sticks, not with the hockey sticks, but with those sticks. Tennis and hockey are like combined somehow in tennis. Yeah.
Sweden is that each of their neighbors is kind of like their biggest rivals in a certain sport. And of course, we can't mention football without mentioning their
Zlatan.
biggest player, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. But depending on who you ask, many people might say that ice hockey is the national sport. In 2006,
Zlatan is the national sport, not football. Zlatan.
they became the first and so far only team to win both tournaments in the same calendar year, Olympics and World Championships. They're part of the Big Six that are considered the best ice hockey teams in the world, including Canada, Czechia, Finland, Russia, and the United States. That's the sports parts.
Thank you, Noah. So much culture in Sweden. Actually, if you want to learn more about it, just read The Adventures of Niels. He rides
Niels
a scooter around
Holgersson!
Sweden and learns some life lessons along
That was one of my favorite TV shows as a kid. Niels Holgersson.
the way or something.
With that, here's Random Hannah with culture stuff.
Hey guys, I'm back! Woo! In Sweden, you'll find that every region has its unique identity. For example, the Sami people of Lapland in the north, they have their reindeer herding, tents, and colt or yakti clothing. If you go to the south in Skåne, though, you'll find a radically different culture of glass blowing and silversmithing, stuff like that. Of course, we don't have time to dive into all the regions, but one thing you'll realize is that they all have a traditional costume, or folkdräkter. One thing you will see all over Sweden is a typical redwood farmhouse. They also have the Dalahäst, a wooden horse usually painted red with patterns. And speaking of iconic animals, Swedes actually love Donald Duck, even
Yeah.
more than Mickey Mouse. And every year during Christmas, they show Donald Duck and his friends wish you a Merry Christmas on the TV. Sweden also has many notable individuals in the arts and literature department. And probably the most critically well known is Anders Zorn, who is commissioned to paint numerous high-profile figures. Swedes are known for their crime,
Das Zorn has a meaning in Swedish because it has in German. It means anger.
fiction, drama, and literature. They love the complex, moody scenarios. Many people attribute this guy, I'm not even going to try and say his name, as a founder of modern Scandinavian crime fiction. But the #1 best-selling Swedish author of all time is actually
Astrid Lindgren.
You've probably heard of her Pippi Longstocking series.
Yeah.
And speaking of consumable media, if you want to learn about culture, history, and geography through film, check out Filmography Now, where we talk about people like Ingmar Bergman, who is a huge influential person in the film industry, and he was from Sweden. Finally, Sweden is known for having a ton of inventions and discoveries, such as nicotine gum, the pacemaker, the 3-point seatbelt, GPS, the ultrasound, dynamite, and the Celsius temperature scale. And 4 elements on the periodic table were named after the town
Ytterby.
Ytterby. I give up, guys. Too many strange vowels and sounds. And one thing you should give up on is Keith and his music segment. Take it away, Keith.
Wow, so we're finally talking about this country that I have totally not any sort of bias towards. Oh wait, hold on, I think I'm forgetting something. I hope everybody recognizes
Are they Swedish?
my favorite Swedish band right here. Let's talk about Sweden,
That's Kiss, right?
shall we? Technically, Sweden doesn't have a national anthem. So they have this one song, it's called Du Gamma Du Fria. I guess it's the de facto anthem.
That is, if you would say it as a German, it is such an insult.
But not the official one. There's tons of really great Swedish folk songs accompanied by the Swedish nickel harp. Kind of looks like a keyboard mixed with a violin. Who likes Strandberg guitars? I do. Just so many great guitar players. Per Nelson, greatest guitar player I think out of Sweden. There's also Yngwie Malmsteen, Ola Öglund, Michael Ackerfeldt. I don't understand why Scandinavia has produced some of the world's greatest guitar players. Anyways, Sweden has also a very pop-centric side. Who doesn't know ABBA? I Want to Be a Dancing Queen. ABBA won in 1974 for the Eurovision contest. Also,
Oh, they did on a Eurovision. I didn't know that.
Now, ABBA's actually going to be making a new album after doing 40 years of basically nothing. Since then, Sweden has been kind of the pioneers of like electro pop and dance music. More well-known artists might be like...
So wait, when he did literally nothing, does it mean that the ESC was like their grand finale? Because normally the ESC is like a stepping stone to another more famous career, right?
Swedish House Mafia, Roxette. Funny thing is a lot of American pop songs were written by Swedes. Max Martin.
Yeah, we reacted to this. This is absolutely mind-blowing. How many songs are from Sweden?
Hundreds of songs. Before I go, some of the bands that I really do enjoy are Opeth, Meshuggah, Pain of Salvation, Sabaton, there's Beardfish. I wish I could name them all.
I'm so bad at like bands and names of bands, so I probably know them all, but I just can't remember them.
Anyways, you guys have a great one. Love y'all.
Thank you, Keith. Any music suggestions for Swedish music?
Robin, she's a great musician.
Benjamin Ingrosso is killing it.
Well, speaking of which, Carolina is a musician and an artist, and you can follow her Spotify at this link right here.
No.
Well, I will promote it. I will promote your Spotify. Don't be all Logum or Yantalo and whatever that is on me. You got to promote yourself. This is America.
So far released 3 Swedish songs, 1 English one.
You want to promote anything? You have a website? Anything?
No!
You were in a Norwegian movie and it got an Emmy Award.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
Which one?
You were in a Norwegian movie and it got an
Okay, the middle guy.
Emmy Award.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, your music has touched the world in so many ways. And another way Sweden has made its name across the world is by interacting with it. So let's move on to the friend zone.
I hope Germany is mentioned. I don't know if...
Now, Sweden has an interesting way of dealing with the rest of the world.
They kind of have a hands-off unless really necessary approach to international conflict.
For one, their security doctrine states that they have a nonpartisan stance in regards to military alliances. However, it permits cooperation with threats against peace security with their military. Yes, Sweden has a military. Nonetheless, they joined the EU in 1995, which some critics...
Are you now in the NATO? Or there was something with Turkey, right? They don't want you.
As being against neutrality, but Sweden decided to see it as an extension of economic activity that had already been going on with the EU, and they also hold the right to not participate in EU defense. Today, they have 79 embassies abroad on all inhabited continents. In Asia, Iraq actually has had relations way before conflict years, dating back to the 30s, when members of the royal family visited Baghdad to see King Ghazi of Iraq. In the 80s, Swedish companies opened up in Iraq, trade was developing well for a while, and after conflict years, many Iraqis chose Sweden as their destination as refugees. The USA and Canada have always been close, as the US has the largest Swedish diaspora community at over 4 million people, most heavily concentrated in Minnesota.
Canada looks so weird without Alaska, right?
About 500,000 with a huge community in Manitoba. Between 1820 to 1930, about 1.3 million Swedes immigrated to the Americas, which was at that time about 1/3 of the entire country. And today, these nations not only had a close historical bond, but in almost every diplomatic measure aside from military conflict, they've cooperated. Bringing it closer to home, Sweden is actually one of the top donors of Moldova in regards to aid and development. They set a strategy of cooperation in 2007, which gives 11 million euros dedicated to good governance, economy, and rural development. Now we go even closer to the inner circle, the Nordics. Every single one of these 5 nations and their territories has an opinion about Sweden, and the gossip is heavy. Finland is of course really close, as for about 600 years they were actually a part of Sweden. And today, Finns are one of the largest non-Swedish communities with a protected language in pockets throughout the country. For Iceland, it's like, we're cool with them, nothing against them. They talk like our ancient Norse ancestors, but otherwise they're totally our distant cousins. Then we get to the last 2, Denmark and Norway. Now here's the thing, each one kind of has a small historical gripe with Sweden. Denmark, as you know, has had more wars with Sweden than any 2 nations on Earth, constantly fighting over influence for Northern Europe. Norway was kind of pissed that Sweden's neutrality prevented them from intervening in war times when they thought the Swedish were like really close and Norway was even part of Sweden. This was especially evident in World War II. It was like the moment of tension. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, you cannot separate the Scandinavian trio. They just get each other too well. They share too much, they have the same general Scandinavian minds, they have that Viking blood, they are truly people of the North. After the insults have been hurled, they will probably say, okay, yeah, we love you.
Yeah, I see this in the comments. You also know a lot about each other, and it seems to be like like a good brother, right? You want to fight him when it's competitive somehow, and you want to be better than him in football or in, I don't know, Eurovision or stuff like that. But you always love him or her if it's a sister.
Denmark and Sweden, though, will probably first hug Norway before hugging each other. But otherwise, yeah, inseparable trio.
All right, and in conclusion,
I'm sad that nothing is about Germany, but okay.
you are the Swedes. I'm going to step out, hold the flag in the background while you speak freely from the heart.
I want to say, in conclusion, Sweden is a beautiful country with beautiful nature, beautiful architecture, if we haven't mentioned that just yet.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, if you meet a Swedish person, he or she might be a little little bit, I'm not sure about you, but lead on with a smile and some love, and you'll get the exact same back.
Yeah, tell me what I should learn in the next video about Sweden, because as they said, it's a beautiful country, it's so interesting, and it's so rewarding that so many things are similar to Germany, but also sometimes not so similar. So you have always like a little feeling of home, but also always something new, exciting. So it's very interesting. So keep liking and subscribing, and we see each other in the next video.